Hey everyone, here's Cuddly, Kitwana. I'm here for you during the Corona crisis with all new episodes of Kitwana's Toys, and today we can celebrate the 50th episode of Kitwana's Toys, and I made this a special episode as I am fulfilling another viewer request. Thank you so much to the Lion King fan for this comment, requesting a view on my collection of the Lion King action figures. I know that this is not the first time I'm talking about Lion King action figures, and I see that some of these episodes get a lot of clicks, and I still get a lot of messages and questions about them, so I thought it's time for another look at Lion King action figures, and this time I'm presenting you basically my whole collection, basically everything that I have in the original packaging, and it's Lion King figures from 1994, from the very first release of the animated classic up to today, including some of the live action figures. And we want to start with what my fan and viewer has requested, especially with the vintage figures, with the original ones from 1994, and to present some of these figures in a more aesthetic way, in a better way to look at, for you to look at them. I have my Pride Rock playset here, in case you are not familiar with the Pride Rock playset. This was one of Mattel's very first Lion King toys. It came in this box here, and you can see that, yes, you can see it contains Pride Rock. It's got a couple action features like the treehouse of Rafiki that you can turn, and into the pond you can actually fill some water, and then pressing the button where young Simba stands on to make it bubble. But we don't want to focus on the Pride Rock playset, we want to focus on the figures. Some of them you can see here on the box, but this Pride Rock playset did not come with figures. There was one that included figures, but not this one. So we want to look at what kind of figures Mattel sold back in the day to go with this Pride Rock playset. And they started out with the figures from the individual figures from the Fighting Action series. These are, I would say, these are still the very best Lion King figures that have ever been made. Here we've got Mufasa here, and these are truly action figures. They come with an action feature, and you can see it's got a try me function. There's a button on Mufasa's back, and when you press that, his front legs will kick and his head will move to the left and to the right. And the back does list the entire lineup of the figures. There were 6 figures in this first collection of, I have 4 of these 6, and take a quick look at them. Please understand that I cannot show you all the figures in great detail, otherwise that video would get way too long, but I'm trying to include some detailed shots of every figure that I show you. How can you tell Mufasa apart from Simba? That isn't always easy, but in this case it is, even though the faces look similar. The action feature on Mufasa includes an articulated head, while on Simba only his front legs and his mouth will move. His mouth opens and closes as his front leg front legs kick, and Simba is also slightly smaller than Mufasa is, so they took great care of details. As said, they were made by Mattel, still under the Orco Toys brand. Orco Toys was a Hong Kong-based company that they took over in 1986, and they continued to use that name quite far into the 90s. One of the many companies that Mattel took over. So I'd say these two fighting action, Mufasa and Simba, really are some of my favorite Lion King action figures so far. Great artwork. You can see the difference. They got Mufasa here and the head of adult Simba here. Really awesome. I'm going to show you the other two figures in this line as well. We have a favorite of so many Lion King fans. We have Scar here, fighting action Scar. This one works the same as the previous figure. You press a button on his back, on his mane. It's a button is very neatly integrated, by the way. And his front legs will kick, and his mouth opens and closes, and you can see his malnourished body, you can see his muscles. These figures are really great. Super awesome. You can see his claws out, and here I'm not going to open these. What I have 19 sealed package I will not open, so they keep the value. We've got young Simba and Rafiki here. Rafiki has his stick. These aren't branded fighting action, of course, but look at the same design on the back. Includes all the 6 figures, and so yeah, here we have some of them on my Pride Rock playset, and I have to say the Pride Rock playset is really one of these few toys that I still play with it even nowadays as an adult. I really like to every now and then I battle Scar against adult Simba and recreate some of the movie scenes, and this is a really great set. It's just too bad that the actual Pride Rock is quite small, so barely one lion fits up there, which is of course in my case Mufasa, with Mufasa being the one true Lion King, the greatest king that ever lived. But going forward with some of my figures, there weren't only individual figures that you were able to purchase back then. There were also a couple gift sets, and these came in highly attractive packaging as well. Take a look at these, take a look at the artwork that they used for. I really like this piece of adult Simba here. This one has adult Simba, Rafiki, Timon and Pumbaa. Rafiki again comes with his stick. The figures that they used in here are basically the same like they used for the fighting action line, but there are some small differences. For example, there have been different versions of Mufasa. Let me get him here. One of the Mufasas had a somewhat bulkier appearance, and a different mold was used for the head. Showing you this up close here. Hopefully you can see the differences if you look closely. So they indeed used different molds for some of the figures. I think definitely for Mufasa and adult Simba as well. So it's very interesting to spot these little differences. Back to these gift sets on the back, they show the respective other sets. There were 2 gift sets, and there's the plot of the original animated classic here that you can read. So these are super great sets. Each of these figures actually measure around 6 inches long. That's quite a good size. Here we have the other set, and I guess many of you will call this a favorite set because this has Scar and Shenzi, and we do have young Simba as well, and Zazu, and a piece of plant. I know so many of you love Scar, but my favorites are still Mufasa and adult Simba. But I love to battle them against Scar, and of course let them win. Interesting note here that you can still see here an old price tag. Less than $10 for these figures. Unfortunately, I do not know if that really was the original retail price back in 1994. It is very well possible, but nowadays you would look into at least $20 for such a set, at least double than that. Sometimes even closer to $30. Of course, not all of these figures have an action feature. Zazu, of course, does not have. Scar has the, as said, the fighting action, and on Shenzi you can move its legs. Same goes for young Simba as well. These are super awesome sets, all from 1994, along with the fighting action line. And what Mattel, respectively Arco Toys, also did was to issue collectible figures. What's the difference between action figures and collectible figures? Well, that's easy. The collectible figures do not come with an action feature. They are basically one molded piece of usually hard rubber. But still, great character likeness. You can see young Nala and Zazu here. And on the back we have the entire lineup. Sadly, I do not own all of these. I do have adult Simba, but only in loose form. And I really would love to have Mufasa with young Simba. That's a super cute figure, and I really love everything with Mufasa, as you already know from my various other Kitwana Toys episodes with the Lion King stuff. So, moving forward 4 years to 1998, Mattel still has the license for the Lion King toys. Mattel produced plushies, as said, action figures, the CNC toy comes to mind, and various other stuff. So they continued what made them successful with Simba's Pride, and here is another gift set that was actually sent to me as a gift by one of my viewers. I still thank for that, very thankful for that. As you can see here, and I'm putting them onto around my Pride Rock playset for you right now, to show you that these aren't action figures, these are collectible figures, these are rubber pieces, slightly smaller than the 1994 action figures. adult Simba and Nala are basically molded as one piece. That's very interesting. And then we have Zazu, Timon, and Pumbaa, of course. So it's a lot of names. And of course, it mentions that we have two new figures, and these are, of course, Kovu and Kiara. Really, really glad that I have at least one Kovu figure with this. As far as I know, there isn't an adult Kovu action figure. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but there never was one. Would have loved to have one, but at least we have one in here. And as you can see, these figures continue to fit with Pride Rock very nicely, even though they are a bit smaller scale. Actually, they fit even better because they can actually go on top Pride Rock and not risk to fall off like the bigger action figures. Here on the back, you can see some of their other toys line up, plushies, for example. And it's got the plot of Simba's Pride as well. And as you can see, still they still use the Orca Toys name for that. They stopped soon after. And why did they stop? That's because they either lost or gave away the license. I am not exactly sure how that happened. But anyway, with the Lion King 1.5 releasing, the other rival toy company, Hasbro, took over the Lion King license. And what I have here are some of the most exclusive Lion King action figures nowadays, with the biggest value. Take a look at these two boxes here. I am definitely not going to open them since they are so valuable. We have to fight to the finish adult Simba and Scar here, and take a look at how these figures are molded. They are molded in the anthropomorphic form, which is of course a huge hit with me as a very... So the play pattern in these is basically they let you recreate that final fight on top of Pride Rock. And they let you battle it out for who is going to take over the entire kingdom, the Pride Lands. The figures are articulated in their bellies, and I see their front legs as well, at least. So they move back and forth, both of them, and they can give each other paw swipes. Basically, they can fight just like real lions would fight. On back, there's a really nice illustration of that. So you can see their swinging motion. That is really, really cool. It's a very unique concept. And it's so cool that they're able to stand on their real legs. That is so cool. And you can see here they are from 2003 under the Hasbro branding. There have been 3 different sets. The other one included Timon and Pumbaa. But of course the lions are more important for me, and here I have the second set. Take a look at this artwork here on the front. Actually, this is super nice. It's artwork that we rarely see on Lion King products, such as this Pouncin, Mufasa and artwork. That is super, super great. And this set lets you recreate the famous pouncing lesson scene that so many of us love. It's one of those father-son bonding moments in The Lion King that makes this movie so unique. And how these will work, how these are working is you pull back Mufasa, you put on his back, and then you let him go, and he pounces forward with a spring mechanism in his legs. And Zazu and young Simba look on as Mufasa teaches them to pounce. This is super awesome. Picture on back. So this lets you recreate another famous Lion King scene. Super awesome action figures. Of course, the sticker from KB Toys does not represent their original price. I'm sorry, I do not know the original price, but if you happen to find them on eBay, they are really rare. I paid $200 for one of them and $300 for the others. It's probably I overpaid a lot, but I really wanted those. So if you happen to find them for a 2-digit amount, then you can consider yourself really lucky. And then we fast forward a bit more. Eventually Hasbro lost the Lion King license as well, and for many years it was pretty quiet on the Lion King merchandise front. But the Disney parks, respectively Disney Store, they use the same vendors in China actually, would release some collectible figures over time. This set here is from 2014, I remember when I got that at Walt Disney World in Florida. And this is a great set, but we have to take a closer look at Scar. And we can see that something is missing on him. I do not know if this is a factory error or if all of the sets are like that. But truth to be told, Scar doesn't have his scar. We cannot see his scar on either of his eyes, so that's really interesting. So that Scar isn't really Scar in this set. On the other hand, great likeness of Mufasa and Zazu, and all of these figures are standing on a kind of base. So as said, no action features. In this one, these are simply collectible figures. This is the back, pretty boring, short plot of the Lion King, almost $15. You can see prices definitely went up over time. I've never opened this set, so I'll leave it closed. But this is another awesome set that I really love. And we are almost at the end. The Lion King franchise saw some new life in 2019 when the animated classic turned 25 years old, and at the same time the live action released. So this was a huge boost for the Lion King franchise. And we have, for 2019, we have another company, another toy company coming in that actually took over the license already a couple years earlier when the Lion Guard started in 2015. Nowadays, Just Play is responsible for manufacturing most of the Lion King and of course the Lion Guard merchandise. In 2019 they released this big set here. It's a 10-figure set. Unfortunately, Well, some of these figures are great. I'm really not happy with adult Simba, how adult Simba looks like in there. Here is his figure, and I'm going to compare it to one of the 1994 action figures, and you can see it's a big difference. That's because for this set here, they molded adult Simba like he was portrayed in the Lion Guard, and if you had seen this series, you unfortunately, of course, you notice that they changed a lot of his character and his look, not to the better, unfortunately, and this reflects in the action figures as well. However, I must say Nala's pretty decent in this set here. It's pretty big. Simba has more posable legs. Nala does not have any kind of action features. Rafiki doesn't have either, and the lion you can see here on the top right is actually Mufasa, although they used a very, very similar mold for some of the earlier Lion Guard action figures around 2015, 2016, and they sold him as Simba. So this Mufasa here does look indeed very similar to the animated classic The Lion King adult Simba. So it's pretty weird what First Play has released. This set has, of course, Timon and Pumbaa as well, and young Nala and Simba, and I think the very best action figure is in here is Scar. At least Scar, they did a really decent job on Scar. Here's them on the back. I think this is a great photograph. I love the artwork with Pride Rock in the back. But it is evident that First Play doesn't put a lot of effort, doesn't put as much effort into action figures like Mattel did. This is one of the better sets, but yeah, I would say the classic Lion King action figures were still best. And the last set I'm going to show you is the most recent one. It's also from First Play, and I actually did a separate Kitwana's Toys episode for those, so just go back to in my Kitwana's Toys playlist and you will find it. These are collectible figures as well, no action features, and these resemble the live action characters. We have young Simba, Nala, Timon and Pumbaa are actually one figure, and we've got this is actually supposed to be adult Simba, but it could be very well Mufasa as well. These are hard to tell apart in the live action, but one that you can tell apart from the adult lions, of course, is Scar. Again, with his malnourished body, you can see his muscles. This is a great likeness of the actual Scar in the live action, and he does actually have his scar across his left eye. You can see here, zooming in for you. This is the back. Pretty cheaply written text. Looks like they put it together within 5 minutes. But okay, the set is still available. I get a lot of messages about it. It is still available via toywiz.com for $24.99, give or take. They do offer international shipping, and they were actually distributed at Walmart as well, but I know they are sold out there. They became really popular. They didn't manufacture a lot of these. So I'm super happy that I still got them, was able to get them. And yeah, actually would have an entire bag full of more Lion King and Lion Art action figures, but I think that's a story for another video, for a separate video, otherwise it will get too long here. I hope that you liked the presentation of these action figures that I have here. If you do have questions, please do let me know down below in the comments or on any of my social media outlets that are listed in the description in this video. I know this video will probably get popular, and I'm always happy to take your messages and questions and try to answer them to the best of my knowledge. For now, yeah, I think that was it. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Stay safe during this corona crisis. Please stay home and wash your paws frequently. And if you do have the Lion King action, some of the Lion King action figures at home, why not take them out again from storage and play with them just like I do here with my Pride Rock playset every now and then. Now is the perfect time to do that. Lots of you have a lot of time on their paws, so why not recreate that epic fight between Simba and Scar atop Pride Rock and play with these figures like you did as a child. That was it for today. I'll see you in the next episode of Kitwana's Toys. Goodbye.